Hello and welcome to the Tainted Tavern, and today I've got another pipe smoking review for you, though I'm not going to be talking about any particular tobacco. I'm just tipping a bit of this vodka back in the bottle here. Don't worry, this is cheap and nasty vodka. I haven't been in the bottle, I've been using it to clean my pipes, because I often use alcohol on a pipe cleaner to run through the stem to clean this pipe, but I loathe using good whiskey, so I use cheap nasty vodka. Now, today I'm talking about a style of pipe, a brand of pipe, and that is the Humble. Though I shouldn't really say the word humble because I think these pipes are fantastic, even though they're not traditional briar pipes, and some people don't like them, but I think they're brilliant, and that is the Falcon. And I'm also going to show you how to make a dry ring, because the Falcons, now they're quite a unique pipe. It's a metal pipe, so this part here is aluminium, or as Americans say, aluminum. I like that, aluminum. Then you've got the mouthpiece here. Now on the older Falcons this would screw off, and you can take the old thing stem out there, but on the newer models that doesn't happen. This is all fitted, so, but as I say, on these older models this will simply screw off and it's easy to put back in. And that's another unique feature of the Falcon, because it delivers a cool smoke to your mouth, and it does that because this central stem here is aluminium, or aluminum, which is an heat sink, so it cools the smoke. Now also then you've got these two other aluminium bars each side of the stem with these air holes here. Now the air then further cools the smoke before it reaches your mouth. Now, one of the most unique factors of the Falcon, and I'm probably preaching to, everyone, probably people watching this video will know about this, but one of the most unique factors is the bowl. They're interchangeable, so for instance, you can unscrew your bowl, and if you've got several Falcon bowls, as I do, I've got several Falcon pipes, I do like Falcons, you can screw a different bowl on. So for instance, if you're smoking a different variety of tobacco, let's just say an aromatic and an English blend, and you don't want each type of tobacco ghost in your bowl, so you could use one bowl for your Englishes and then switch it back and use a different bowl for your aromatics. Now, I was talking about dry rings. Now inside here, this area here is called humidor. And before I smoke this, I'm going to give you a little bit of the history of the Falcon pipe. So let me talk about this. This is the humidor, and this is which captures all the moisture. And you can buy proprietary dry rings, Falcon call them. And basically it's a bit of a pipe cleaner with a stem there that goes into the air hole there. See the air hole there? Let me get my pipe knife to show you this. So this here is the air hole, and the part of the dry ring which goes around here is just a standard pipe cleaner, but the part then that pokes into this hole is just bare metal. So what I do, rather than buying dry rings, I get a pipe cleaner and I work the length out that I need it, and I'll simply snip it with the scissors. Now that's enough. You can just simply fold this and pop it into there and it'll act as a dry ring. But what I find is sometimes the fluffiness of the pipe cleaner can block this air hole slightly. So what I do, I'll simply get my lighter and I'll run it a little bit over the end there. Blow it out. Really wet your fingers if you do it this way. Pull it down, and that takes off the fluffiness. And then simply run your pipe knife down it a couple of times. Use the blade, of course, not the poker. Use the blade. So run it down it a couple of times, get the rest of that fluff off. Then you simply fold the pipe cleaner, which is now a dry ring, and insert it into your pipe. So the piece go in there, and there we are, and there we have it. Now there. Now this the bit there which goes into the smoke, into the actual hole, the smoke hole, has not got no fluffiness on it, so it doesn't impede the smoke. Then all the moisture will be trapped in here, the humidor, which gives you a really dry smoke. Now I filled up a Falcon ready here, because I simply prefer the bent style of pipe, but Falcons come in various styles and designs, and we'll talk about that a little when I give you the history of the Falcon pipe, which I'm about to do in a moment. But I do prefer a bent style. I just find it much more comfortable in the mouth. Now the mouthpiece here is an odd, I think it's acrylic, and it's quite odd, and some people will prefer their Falcons with a little rubber bit on the end, the crankshaft, but I actually prefer without, so that's horses for courses, it's up to you. So anyway, we're going to retire now to the bothy of broken dreams, and I'm not going to talk about the tobacco I'm smoking today. I'm going to talk about the pipe and the type of smoke that the Falcon delivers. Incidentally, this Falcon here is really handsome because the central stem there is blue. The outer part is called red, but it looks more like a brown to me, but it is a reddy brown. I just think that looks flashy. It matches my eyes. So anyway, before we retire to the smoking bothy, let's give you a little bit of the history of the Falcon pipe.
In 1936, American engineer Keenly Bugg from Fort Worth, Indiana, invented something truly revolutionary: the Falcon pipe. Inspired by the same principle that caused rain to fall when clouds meet cool air, Bugg designed a pipe to cool smoke before it reached the smoker's mouth. To do this, he used aluminium, or as Americans say, aluminum. Aluminum, bump, 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 aluminum, bump, bump, bump. Not just because it's lightweight, because it dissipates heat quickly, cooling the smoke along the way. The Falcon's clever design didn't stop there. The bowl screws into the stem, creating an airtight seal, and just below it, a bulbous chamber, known as the humididome, acts as a condenser, trapping moisture and keeping the tobacco dry. Cleaning? Well, that's simple. Just unscrew the bowl and swab out the base with a tissue. How easy could it be? The first Falcon pipe hit the shelves in 1940 and sold out immediately. Demand was sky high, but due to wartime restrictions, materials were limited, and production just couldn't keep up. Fast forward to 1949, and George Hunt of the Diversity Machine Company in Chicago took over manufacture and marketing. Production wrapped up fast across Indiana, Michigan, Illinois and Iowa, and by 1954 over 6 million Falcon pipes had been sold in the US alone. It's worth mentioning here a fantastic little book called Back from the Ashes, written by Kathy Worth, George Hunt's granddaughter. It tells the story of the Falcon in rich detail, and I use much of that book to help write this presentation here. You can grab it as an ebook on Amazon, and I'll link to it in the description below. By 1955, Diversity Machine Works had moved to 4117 North Kilpatrick Avenue, Chicago, leaving behind their old Van Bruin Street address. Then, in 1956, something truly interesting happened. David Morris, chairman of the British Tobacco Group, A. Lewis Limited, attended the Wembley FA Cup final. He spotted several people smoking these unusual looking Falcon pipes, and he was intrigued. A meeting with George Hunt was arranged in Chicago, and soon after a test launch in Britain begins. 10,000 pipes distributed through 350 A. Lewis branches. The response? An instant success. Despite early skepticism from the fancy good trade, Morris saw potential and formed two new companies, Falcon Pipes Limited and Falcon Pipes Distributors Limited. He began negotiations to manufacture Falcon pipes right there in Britain. It took over 2 years to perfect the machinery needed to make the aluminium stems, or aluminum. So it took over 2 years to perfect the machinery needed to make the aluminium stems and secure enough high-quality briar wood for the bowls. By 1956, the Falcon Hunter was launched, which was the first anodized Falcon pipe. That May, 30,000 units were distributed in the UK. This followed just modest advertising, but the pipes sold out quickly. Suddenly, the pipe smoking world had changed forever. Conventional smokers, once resistant to change, embraced the Falcon. Morris gradually shifted his focus entirely to Falcon, letting go of other business ventures. By the early 1960s, a small factory in Shepherd's Bush, London, was producing 10,000 pipes every single week. In 1964, Falcon launched a new model, the Alco pipe. This name was a creative workaround because when Falcon started UK distribution, George Hunt discovered another brand, the famous Comoy, already had a pipe called Falcon. And so to avoid potential legal issues, he simply ordered that the F and the N be buffed off the word Falcon from existing stems, and just like that, Falcon became Alco. This was short-lived though, and a deal was met for Falcon to continue to be able to distribute the pipes as Falcons, and so it went back to Falcon. But the Alco name was changed for a new version of the Falcon with a different bowl thread. But the Alco was never as successful as the Falcon, though Alcos can still be found on the secondary market. In 1965, Falcon stumbled for the first time. A new model simply called the pipe was introduced, and it used entirely different materials. But this time it flopped. Smokers hated it. It turns out, you don't mess with perfection. By 1968, Falcon International Incorporated in Chicago ends US production, and the Falcon Pipe Group Limited in Brentford, England took over global supply. From that point on, Falcon became and remains a largely British-made pipe. In 1980, Falcon introduced the True Bent and True Bent Extra. Incidentally, the True Bent is my favourite kind of Falcon, but that's just personal preference. I do like bent pipes. So they released the True Bent and True Bent Extra along with universal gold pipes and new golden bowls. In 1993, Falcon is bought out by Merton Limited, now known as Merton as Falcon. Then in July 2007, the company was sold again, this time to BPM International UK Limited, which is owned by Leo and Dean Osmond of Sydney, Australia. This brand today continues under the name Falcon Pipes UK. And there you have it. The story of a smoking revolution, a smoking innovation that defied convention, adapted across continents and stood the test of time. Be sure to check out the description below for the link to the excellent book Back from the Ashes by Kathy Worth. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, then please give this video a like, subscribe and share it with fellow pipe enthusiasts. Thanks for listening.
Broken dreams. It's early evening. It's starting to get dark. It's summer actually, so it's actually 20 to 10. And the light is starting to be sucked out of the air. So let's light up this Falcon, and rather than talk about the tobacco, incidentally, what I've got in here at the moment is some Peterson's Early Morning, which is a clone of the old Dunhill Early Morning. But I'm not going to talk about the tobacco. I'm going to talk about the smoking experience from the Falcon pipe, because that's the point of this video. I'm talking about the Falcons. When I first started smoking a pipe, way back in my 20s, we had a local tobacconist in a village close to me, Porth, only a few miles away, and it was one of these old school tobacconists, and it was a beautiful smell when you went there because all the jars filled with the various tobaccos. And I bought my first pipe from there. I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was a Dr. Plum, but it was one of the cheaper pipes, and they had Falcons on the shelves. But then Falcons were far more expensive than the Dr. Plum. You're going back now to about 1985, and I gazed at the Falcons longingly, but I couldn't afford it at the time. But ever since, over the years, I've had several Falcons, and it's weird how public perception has changed, because the Falcons are much derided in pipe smoking circles, because you get a lot of snobbery with people who prefer high-end Briars, or they go for some of the more expensive factory pipes, the Dunhills or the Petersons. I've got a lot of Petersons. I haven't got no Dunhills in my collection, but I've got a lot of Petersons, and I do love my Petersons. I think Petersons are probably among the best factory pipes, but I still like my Falcon, and sometimes only a Falcon will do. If I'm going for a walk with the dogs over the mountains, I always take a Falcon with me. I do think they're good smokers, but I'm going to get this Falcon lit up now, and let's have a chat, and of course listen to a bit of Rubert Everett singing smoking my pipe.
As I watch the sun descending and the birds fly home to rest, in the hush when day is ending, that's the hour when I feel blessed, smoking my pipe, smoking my pipe.
Falcons are totally superb, absolutely excellent. You can't fault the draw on these things at all, and you do get that full dry smoke. You also don't get any tobacco into the chamber here, the humidor, because of this button here in the middle. I don't know how well that button there, it means it's the only thing that can get out of the bowl is smoke, no tobacco. And the draw on them is totally superb. They're very lightweight and all, and as I say, a lot of people complain about the Killick bit here and use a rubber ring, and that's to do with your own comfort, of course. I prefer Falcons without the rubber ring because they're very lightweight and I don't find any strains. But you can get dental type bits and all for people who've got dentures with the grooves in there. It's gone out now, but in all fairness, it only had a charring light. It was puffing away lovely, and then I started yapping, which is the point of these videos, really, isn't it? The yap. I'm drinking a scotch on the rocks, as always.
Like a whisper through the cornfield comes a gentle evening breeze. At the doorway of my cottage I recall old memories, smoking my pipe, smoking my pipe. Those far off places.
You get a full tobacco taste, and there's never any gurgling with a Falcon, which is really nice. Some of my best briar pipes, if a tobacco's overly moist, they do sometimes gurgle, but you never get that gurgling with a Falcon. And I think they're beautiful in themselves. I don't think they're I don't think they're ugly pipes, as I've heard some people think. I think Falcons have a beauty all of their own. Of course, the cool thing is, with the interchangeable bowls, you only really need one stem. If you've got one stem and, say, 3 bowls, or 2 bowls, 4 bowls, then even though you've only got the one stem, you've got 4 pipes. Because you pop your bowl off, put another pipe on, you're effectively smoking a new pipe, a different pipe. Which is what I like to do with my Falcons. I have got Falcons that I keep the bowls for certain types of tobaccos, English blends, aromatic blends, vapors, and so forth. I've got several Falcons, though I haven't only got the one stem, but that's the point. If you're getting into pipe smoking, something like a Falcon is inexpensive, and it's probably a better option for a first pipe than a clay pipe, which are usually recommended for new pipe smokers, the clay pipes, because you're not putting out too much money. But Falcons are so versatile. Another positive the Falcons must be commended for is they're probably the easiest pipe of all to clean. So easy, simply pop off the bowl, rubber tissue around in the humidor, which is this part here. That's Falcon's names for the chamber, the humidor. Run a pipe cleaner through, dipped in a bit of vodka or whiskey or whatever. If you've got the older style Falcon, like the one I showed you earlier, you can even unscrew this whole thing and pull the entire centre stem out. You can't do that with this one. It's a fitted mouthpiece here, fitted bit, but it smokes exactly the same as the older style Falcon. They are very good pipes. What are the cons then? If the pipe's got pros, it must have cons. Well, the only cons I can see is it's not a mega expensive lump of briar. But then you didn't pay mega expensive money for it, so that's not a con. This is a fine, fantastic pipe. It's cool burning. I mean, there's no heat there at all around this humidor in the end. It's comfortable to hold in the end. You're not getting no heat. And by the time it gets to the mouth, all you're getting is a pure dry smoke. So I think the Falcon has far more going for it than going against it. The only thing that I could think of to give it a con at all would be that it's kind of not as beautiful as an high-end Briar, but then, you know, it doesn't try to be. It's a practical, utilitarian pipe. It's fantastic. It's also so easy to smoke right down to the bottom of the bowl until all you've got left is a nice, clean, white ash. And then, of course, you don't need to allow the pipe to rest. You can have another smoke straight away if you want to use the same bowl. Or if you want to think you're leaving the pipe to rest, but you want an immediate smoke, simply pop off a bowl, pop on another bowl. Bob's your uncle. I'm going to have to find out the origin of that phrase, Bob's your uncle, because being a writer, things like that interest me. Bob's your uncle's a common saying, but I've never thought of the origins of that before. So stay tuned. I'll be telling you what that means at the end of this video. But it really is delivering to my mouth a tobacco taste. I'm getting the taste of the tobacco just as well as I would taste the tobacco in any high-end Briar. But what I am getting is a totally cool smoke. There's no impurities at all. The cooling system here, which is based on scientific principles that I don't fully understand, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to do. I suppose it's kind of like a radiator. It cools everything down, so I'm getting a perfectly cool and dry smoke in my mouth. That's because the humidifier here is capturing all the moisture. Combustion of tobacco does create moisture, which is why you can often get a gurgling in your pipe. I have never had a gurgling in any of my Falcons.
Beyond the blue, familiar faces that once I knew. I recall those days behind me and the happiness they meant. Every sundown you will find me with a heart that is content, smoking my pipe, smoking my pipe.
Well, as I say, there are, Falcon does have its detractors. A lot of the traditional Briar people, traditional pipe type people, don't like Falcons. I can't understand that attitude. It's a fantastic pipe. It's reasonably priced. You can buy the stem, the pipe itself, for about £30 over here in the UK, currently around the £30 mark. And you can get a bowl, a basic bowl, for about £22. You can get the slightly better quality Briar bowls for a little bit more, such as the Hunter. You can get meerschaum bowls, you can get various stars, you can get billiards, you can get apples, you can get chimneys, you can get bulldog type, you can get so many different type of bowls. I think that, and I'm not afraid to say this, I don't think there's any pipe, any smoking pipe on the market that is as versatile as the Falcon. And nor is there any pipe where you can simply buy any other pipe rather, where you can simply buy the one stem, the one pipe, and have about 20 different pipes by having the interchangeable bowls. I mean, technically, you could own just one stem, just one of the pipes itself, and you could own 20 bowls, and you would effectively have 20 bowls. They're lightweight, they're aluminium, they're very durable, they're very strong, they're difficult to break. So that's Falcon pipes. I've got nothing but praise for these. I think these are fantastic pipes. I don't think they'll ever replace my My favourite pipes out of all my pipes are probably my Petersons. I've got several really good quality Petersons, and when I do buy a pipe from time to time, it's mostly estate pipes. I do plan on, though saying that, on buying a brand new Peterson, because I've discovered a new brick and mortar pipe shop in Abergavenny, which is where I got the Mellow Virginia or Special Virginia tobacco the other day, and I plan on visiting that next week and buying a new Peterson. But the majority of pipes I buy now, Peterson pipes, are estate Petersons, because I like the older style Peterson. I feel the briar was a far higher quality back in the day. So if I want to buy a new pipe these days, it will be another Falcon, except for the odd occasion when I fancy splurging out maybe and getting something different, because as a pipe smoker, I've got PAD, pipe acquisition disorder, like perhaps many of us watching this video. But I just think the pipes, Falcon pipes, offer great value for money. I think they're fantastic smokers. If you want to be honest, brutally honest, and ignore the need to collect pipes, the desire to have different type of pipes, which is something that I've got, and no doubt many of you have got. But if you ignore that and all you're interested in is having a good smoking pipe, then Falcon may be all you need. You may not need any other type of pipe.
Time's old ever-moving finger closes one more day, but yet, while such thoughts as mine can linger, I'll have nothing to regret. Smoking my pipe, smoking my pipe, smoking my pipe.
And as promised, the origin of the phrase "Bob's your uncle," I've got it up on the screen here. Now, the phrase "Bob's your uncle" is unknown, not specifically known. However, it's thought to have originated from the fact the appointment of Alfred Balfour as Chief Secretary of Ireland by his uncle, Prime Minister Robert Gascoigne Cecil, in 1887. Robert, of course. Bob is a shortened name of Robert. This act of nepotism, where a powerful figure appointed a relative to a position, led to the phrase "Bob's your uncle" being used to mean, and there you have it, or everything is settled. Thanks.